Hello, so good to meet you at this global motivational meeting. We are reading World Spiritual Book to inspire and empower positive vibe for the day. This book are helping billions of people, families, communities, countries, and whole world, and will help you to just read these quotes and practice. As we read the book from the beginning, please find all the chapters at our Message to Billion channel. Let's read further about the relationship between God and human being, how to mobilize heavenly fortune, and further quotes about synergy of grace and effort. The relation between divine grace and human effort is that Thomas Aquinas called synergy. Effort calls forth grace, and grace prompts effort. A number of texts stress human initiatives as calling for grace. God helps those who help themselves. Others describe God's grace as preceding and calling for our response. Father Moon teaches that God's grace and power contribute some 95% toward the fulfillment of a work, leaving 5% as a human portion of responsibility. By leaving a small portion of the work unfinished as our portion, God provides a way for human beings to share in the work of creation and enjoy the glory of co-creators. However, in the course of salvation history, the equipment that we human beings do not do our portion has sometimes been a cause of frustration to God when we fail or fail short. It means that God cannot unilaterally complete the task by himself. God will reliably do his portion, but human beings are unreliable. Therefore, giving human beings a portion of responsibility means that God is essentially placing the fate of the universe in our hand. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will open to you. He who conforms to the way is gladly accepted by the way. He who conforms to virtue is gladly accepted by virtue. He who conforms to laws is gladly accepted by laws. If a man sanctifies himself a title, he becomes much sanctified. If he sanctifies himself below, he becomes sanctified from above. If he sanctifies himself in this world, he becomes sanctified in the world to come. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for God is at work in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. God changed not what it is in a people until they change what it in themselves. Remember me, you shall overcome all difficulties through my grace. But if you will not heed me and your self will, nothing will avail you. If you wish to find the true way, right action will lead you to it directly. But if you do not strive for Buddhahood, you will grope in the dark and never find it. Heaven help the man who is devoted. Man help the man who is true. The man who walks in truth and is devoted in his thinking and furthermore reveres the worthy, he is blessed by heaven. God has declared, I am close to the thought that my servant has of me, and I am with him wherever he rejoices me. If he remembers me in himself, I remember him in myself. And if he remember me in a gathering, I remember him better than those in the gather too. And if he approach me by as much as he can, as one hand, let I approach him by a cubit. If he takes a step toward me, I turn toward him. God give each person a hook with which to pluck his fruit. Behold, a standard at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voices and open the door, I will come into him and eat with him and he with me. Prayer indeed is good, but while calling on the God, a man should himself lend a hand. If it is from below that the movement starts, and thereafter it is all perfected. If the community of Israel failed to initiate the impulse, the one from above will also not move to her. It is thus the earning from below which bring about the completion above. All undertaking in this world depend both on the ordering of our faith and on human exception. But among these two, the ways of faith are unfathomable. In the case of man's work, action is possible. Further, let's read quotes from the second Messiah, Father, Sun, and Moon. You must participate in God's great creative undertaking. Although God provides 95% of the ideal from necessary to reach perfection, human beings must still complete the remaining 5% by their own responsibility. God alone cannot bring about human perfection. Each person has the responsibility to make a contribution in perfecting him or herself. The spirit grows through give and take action between two types of nourishment, the life elements of a young type and that come from God, and vitality elements of yin type that come from the physical self. As long as you complain and lament over your situation while just sitting in your chair, you will not make progress. God will not help you. God wants you to make new effort every day. God creates to the level God creates to the level of 95%, and then human beings should add the effort in accordance with God's basic rules for creation in order to establish a value standard of 100%. In this way, God wants to give human beings the value of having participating in the completion of his will. The proportion of the 5% is used to indicate that the human portion of responsibility is extremely small when compared to God's portion of responsibility. Yet for human beings, this 5% is equivalent to 100% of our effort. We should recognize how minuscule the human portion of responsibility is in comparison to God's toil and grave, which is his portion of responsibility. On the other hand, when we consider the fact that over and over again, central figures in the providence could not cope with their responsibility, we can appreciate how extremely difficult it was for them to fulfill even this comparatively small portion. No matter how great the saving grace of the cross of Christ, the salvation not without door will be for naught unless we fortify our faith, which is our portion of responsibility. It was God's responsibility to grant the benefit of resurrection through the crucifixion of Jesus, but to believe or not to believe is strictly one's own portion of responsibility. We are endowed with the nature to emphasize with God. We should develop that nature when God rejoices, we also will rejoice, and when God is sorrowful, we also will be sorrowful. Unless you became a person who can intimately experience God's deep inner heart, you are in no position to become one with God and live in harmony with God, regardless of how much God loves you. God has borne all the responsibility for his sons and daughters on the road of restoration. But now, surely, the time has come when we should take on that responsibility. God has borne all that responsibility to help us. But now, by taking on Satan's attack, we can stand up as God's sons and daughters. So powerful quotes. If you have difficulties today, please watch one more time this video, share this video as we end this billion happy life subscribers marathon. Contact me for consultation, cooperation, and become a member of this Heavenly Parents Calling community. Wish you a great blessed day and see you tomorrow with more powerful quotes. All the best. Bye bye. Yours, Coach Nikolai Serpala.